And we're live. We're live and we are here. We are at the first ever worldwide online being experience. And I really, really want to thank each and every person here for who you're being, but since we're going to learn what that even means, for your commitment in showing up here and being a part of this. I mean, this is amazing and people are still coming in. I don't know if Zoom has ever seen such a large, powerful conference ever before. And so I really, really want to honor each and every one of you. And I can't do it by name, but know that you make such a difference here. And it's not just words. What I've learned from this group is that it doesn't work with just words. It's not just things that you can say. It's legitimate. Whether you know someone or not, you can know that they make a difference when you know that you make a difference. So thank you. Thank you for being here. And there are 4 people I do need to thank before we even begin. And that, the first one is gonna have to be Steve and Amy, like one person, but they're really 2 separate people. Steve and Amy, for all that I've learned about being, I am sitting here right now because of Steve. It's just a fact, whether that's too fluffy or not, that's just a fact. And all that I have learned and all that we've learned or anything about being, I have from Steve. And no words I can say are going to suffice, but it's the simplest acknowledgement I can do. Why I'm here, where I've learned, how I've grown. Anything that you see from me that's like, wow, that's amazing, or I love what you wrote, it's only because of what I've learned from Steve. That's the truth. When I sit and when I'm present and I'm being with it, that's what comes up for me. So you can't make this stuff up. And the second person is Eric Lofholm for creating this group. Steve wrote a book. Amy and Alan Thompson wrote a book, and Steve stopped saying no, and the book was written. And then Eric said, we need to make a group on this. And Steve gave his okay. I wouldn't be who I was today if I didn't have this group continuously working on my being and just the opportunity that it creates. And that was Eric's pure creation. And if Eric didn't do that, would someone else? I don't know. I doubt it, but anything is possible. So really, really need to and want to acknowledge Eric for that creation. It also came to mind by me, someone we have to thank is Judy Thurston for creating events. Who even heard of making an event, of being experiences? I don't make events, and just Judy created this thing in the world that's taken the world by storm, and it's totally a credit to her. So thank you, Judy. I also want to thank Lindsay Gilman for running this and being my person at the desk and running all the technical stuff and running this call and manning the chats. And we're going to be hearing from her later. And I just want to acknowledge you for the service that you do and how you show up in the group and continuously going. It's very, very inspiring. And lastly, it's really each and every person here. You make such a difference. You're here. There's not just 133 people right now. There's you, and that's all that matters. If it was just me and you, we'd have a great time. We're still gonna have a great time. But it really makes a difference. So I really want to honor everybody here, everyone's commitment for making the time to being here. And however long you can be here, this event is a 4-hour event. They're 4 one-hour sessions. So you can be here for however long you can. And any part that you're here, when you're fully present, you can gain from that. You can get from, I already got something from Townsend. His shirt says, who are you not to? Who am I not to? And could talk about that sometime. But any one thing, any one insight that you have is all that you need that can make the biggest difference to you. And even you just being here and saying, hey, I got together with people across the globe with one intention of expanding our being, of learning, or even trying to just figure out what's going on. That's a commitment you've made. That's powerful. I honor and respect that. And I want you to acknowledge yourself for that and say, hey, I'm pretty cool that I'm doing this. I'm taking out time at 5 in the morning or even 12 in the afternoon. It's also a big deal. It could be going to the park. And that is going to shift you. So thank you. And I would like to ask you, if you're here for 10 minutes or a half hour, be here. Put away your phone. Just be here for that one thing. If you're waiting for me to stop talking, so press mute and then get back on when Townsend gets on. Like whatever you need to do to be here for whatever amount of time that you can be here is powerful and can transform you. So commit your focus to that. And just take it in for a minute, being here right now. We're all in our separate rooms, but we are all here, connected with one purpose. And feel the power in that and being present with that. The purpose of this event, the reason why I created this was because of my passion, of what I've learned from Steve and from the book that was written. And to me, the most powerful part was the questions that we ask ourselves, the questions that you should ask yourselves every time you read the book, you read anything. It's questions about, who do I want to be? Who do I need to be? Who am I being? Being to me means my truth, being present in this moment, and particularly not needing to be anything. There's no one that I need to should be. Showing up to this event, there's no one that I need to should be, how to showing up, just all that, to stop all that talk. It's just showing up. It's, hey, what would be amazing if I could show up any way? How would I want to show up? Every day I get to ask myself the question. I get to create myself every day. We're always creating ourselves, right? One of the Steve's have so many, one big thing. So I'm never going to do it justice. Everything throughout my day, it's like, oh, this is one of those big things I learned from Steve. But one of those big things is you're always being. Being is the ultimate experience. Who you are, how are you showing up? We're having this experience right here. And what are you going to do when you walk away from it? How is that going to change the next person you bump into? It can if you wanted to. So when we're being here all together, that's what I'm coming in with. That's what we're creating here. So I don't know if I have the reason correct. I do know that today is Steve's birthday. What an auspicious time to have the event. The event was created before his birthday, I think. And then it was his birthday. So Steve has graciously offered to give us some of his time today, this morning, before he goes to all the wonderful things that they do. I think I have intruded nicely, not intruded like a bad way, but intruded on both Steve and Amy's birthdays at different occasions. So that's definitely check off my bucket list. And I appreciate in both times they're sharing time with me and everyone here. So I would like to ask you, Steve, if you can share with us a little bit about being, something that we can walk away with, even if it's something we already know.
She keeps just working you. So first of all, Rephoel, thank you for what you've done, all the work you've put into this. No one would ever know, other than maybe a couple people, what you've gone through to get this to go and what you've learned. I admire you. I love you. You're amazing. I said to Amy when I was unmuted, muted, I said, Rephoel reminds me of me. He's in a community that's his own, but he sure seemed like a weird dude in his own community. That is me. You know, it's like, that dude's a Mormon. Come on, man. And I want to call you. I don't know if this is appropriate, but just, I want to call you my rabbi. I love you. I appreciate you. And that may be out of bounds. So you say, Steve, please don't say that. That's not a good thing to say in my tradition. I appreciate you. So I could speak for quite a while, and I would just ask that everyone, I can't see everyone because I just have one screen, but I ask that you pay attention while I'm talking about this so I can set the stage for when anybody else speaks something. What I know, and I've said this before, is that the power is in the person that's listening. So it depends where you're choosing to listen from, what you're going to get. And I'm going to give you 3 really small examples, and I ask you to actually listen to this and decide which one of these people you want to be, because you get to choose it. So the first thing you get to be is, who am I going to be as I listen to these people? So the first experience I want to share with you is, many of you heard Amy speak in London. 500 people give her a standing ovation. There was a gentleman who wrote and said, that was just a lot of platitudes. That was no good. I wasted my time. I wasted my money. Where do you suppose he was listening from? Was he in the same room I was in? He chose to hear that. I can remember going down with the Yonla. She's doing a project called Starting Over House. And she wanted to she was proud of me and she wanted to introduce me to people down there with her. And then I'm waiting in an office for someone who's supposed to be a coach, worldwide coach. This person wants to meet me. So I sit down with the Yonla. We're in this room and this gal knows we're sitting in her office and she's on the phone in a coaching situation. And the person can't see her. She's filing her fingernails and filing papers. And it was wild to watch that. I'm sitting with the Yonla. I'm looking over at this person. And she turns around and she says to me, I want to meet a person that a Yonla would write X amount of money for a check, a 3-year commitment, who in the world are you? And I says, I'll tell you who I am. I would never be doing my fingernails or my toenails or filing papers on anyone. And I told her that straight out. So some of you can file some stuff today and do some stuff and multitask. You're going to lose. That's a crazy place to come from. Some of us in this room are going to listen from, wow, who does he think he is? Who does she think she is? All these different places we get to choose to listen from. And you're inventing the person as you listen from that. You can listen from, I know more than they do, or wow, how did they choose her to speak? Why is he speaking? Dude can't even get his hair cut right. What's he doing taking the time up front? And who does he think he is anyway? You do that to me, I got nothing of value to say. You get to create this. So one of the ways I would suggest that you listen is that you listen for the gold that someone's having to say. Listen for the intention. Listen for who that person is, the heart they put into this. You know, if any of you are a bit like me, I was a little nervous last night going to sleep thinking, man, we're gonna have all these people. I hope I can do okay. And so anybody who's going to be speaking, they're doing their best job. Be for them, pull for them while they're talking. Like if I get in a little trouble, help him with his words. He's kind of stuck there. Don't what the hell's the guy doing? Can he put a sentence together? The truth is I can't. But bypass that and get what it is that I'm really, really trying to share. So I'm inviting all of you, if I'm looking eyeball to eyeball to you, that we pay attention to who's speaking and listen for something great coming out of them. Because if you do, you'll find it. Another kind of thought, I was really inspired by a man named Richard Iyer. I'll give you the short version of this. As a leader in the mission, I would read all the missionary stuff. And if there were any things that were challenging, I would underline them so the president could just read the challenging things and then help the missionary. Well, I get a letter from a missionary and it's everything's bad. It's just, there's not a good thing, 2 pages of it. And I underline all of it in red and I give it to the mission president and he says, elder, get him on, they call it elders and sisters, get him on the phone. So I think, wow, this guy that's 31, graduated from Harvard, in a position where he can run 300 missionaries. I'm going to see how he brings the hammer down on somebody, or how's he going to do this? I mean, there's so many problems in here, and I'll never forget it. He gets him on the phone and talks to him by name, and then we're on a speakerphone, and he's telling this missionary a couple of things. I think, man, he's kind of boasting about himself. And he says, you know, I've done this and I've done this. He says, I've been all over the world. But can I tell you something, elder? And this is a guy who's hating being where he's at, doesn't want to be there, doesn't like the people, doesn't like the country. And the mission president says to him, I got to tell you something. I have never seen handwriting like this anywhere in my life. This is the best penmanship I've ever seen. He found something great. There was nothing in that document that would be, he didn't mention any of that. And it changed that young man's life. That's where Richard Eyre was listening from. What's the gold? What's the greatness in this person? I'm asking every one of you to do that for however long you're here. Listen to the gold, the greatness. I'm really grateful for the speakers. I could take 10 minutes literally on each speaker and acknowledge you. What I'm asking all of us to do is take the full time we're here and acknowledge them by granting them our listening and make it powerful. Werner Erhard says something very interesting. He said, if you had a group of people that in their mind, they were willing to support what you're saying and they're looking for the greatness in you, you could get a phone book and read it and they would be transformed. I know that to be true. There is someone on the call right now who's a current client, and I love her very much, and I've been with her once. But I want to give you an example of the powerful listening that she brought into the office with me. As I'm speaking something, I'm having ideas that come very quickly, and I'm not wanting to miss them based on what she's saying, because I'm connected to infinite intelligence. The stuff comes through me because I'm so present to it, what she's saying. And I said, doggone it, Darla, I forgot what I was going to say. And I kind of searching around for what I was going to say. And you know what she said to me? I got it. You don't have to say anything. I got it. And she got it. And now I know that as we went down the road and we got back, it's like amazing. She was so for me that I didn't even have to have words in that case. And she got something. Be that for the people that are going to speak today. Be that for them. Leave aside anything. Leave it all aside. Have it be like, who I'm going to be today is the most powerful listener I've ever been, no matter what shape, what color, what sexuality, what religion, what anything, whoever's speaking, I'm going to get the most out of this that I've ever gotten in my whole life. I invite you each to do that. And when you start to check out, bring yourself back in. So I can't see all of you, but there's a way we can know if you're committed to do that. I know this technology says I can raise a hand. So if you're willing for the time you're here to drop your judgment about someone else and get everything you can from this, the most in your life you've ever gotten at any place you've ever, raise your hand. And don't raise your hand if you don't plan on doing that. It's okay if you don't. But I promise you, if you do, you'll have an experience like you've never had before. You'll hear some things that are so profound, and it won't even necessarily be the words they said. I said no words to Darla. It's an amazing thing. So my days changed a little bit. As I thought about this day, I was planning on only be here for a few minutes and say a few words. But then when I get moved by people like Rephoel, like Judy, like Matt Smith, people put these on and it kind of changes my world. So now what it is I'm going to be a participant with this so I can be here. I'm not going to go do what I had. Amy's going to cover for us. Like Rephoel said, there's two, we're one. She's going to go and I'm going to be here. So we can be two places at one time. And my intention is to take on the same challenge I had, to learn from everyone that speaks, everyone that interacts, and then also be a participant, because I've learned that mastery, my license plate, is not about being puffed up. Mastery is the difference between a master and a student is the master knows she is always the student, and I am a master. So I'm going to be here for the entire time. As long as people will have me, I'm going to participate and I'm going to learn. I want to just complete by saying this as a possibility, that these thoughts that we have in life, they create things. And you're the one that you can't control your thoughts, but you're the one having them. So I can have a thought, I don't have to attach to it. I can have a thought that drops in, I didn't even want to have, but do I keep it or do I do something with it? So when I say the thoughts, you really have these thoughts and they create things. You keep the thought there long enough, it'll create that thing. And those thoughts create who we're being. And that being is the creation of everything. Anything we do, good, bad, kind of nice, it's coming from that being. And that being creates the doing. The being is the seed of all doing. Anything that you're doing, you want to look and see where you're being. So I invite you today to be an extraordinary listener beyond anything you've ever done before. Anything, like really tap it up. It's like, man, if this was my best friend talking to me right now, if this is my mother, my departed father, if this is my son, that I picture Judy, I can't see you, Judy, but picture that you're listening like Jacob's talking. Anyone who's there's Jacob's talking. You got 4 hours with Jacob. How would you listen to that? Take that, create something that's powerful in your mind of who that would be. What's the greatest way I can, and participating the same way. When Rephoel kind of leads this, help, get in there. Let's play together. Now, I would like to complete with not saying my document, just to say my document. I want to share it with you because it is who I invent myself to be. And then I practice all day long being that. So everything in my day is part of practice. It's a 24-hour meditation I'm in with everything, every text, every email, every Instagram communication coming or going. I'm practicing being who I declare myself to be. And those seeds which I plant, I harvest those. If I plant a beautiful flower, I will get the seed of that flower. If I plant a weed, I'll get the seed of that weed. So here is who I declare to be in every conversation today, whatever I do. I am the universe. Love is, I am that. Be still and know that I am God. I'm not your God or the God, but I'm a God that creates. I create with every thought, and so do you. I am a disciple of Jesus Christ, not the airbrush Christ, the Christ that forgave the harlot, the Christ that raided the whip in the temple and cleared the temple, the Christ that healed, the Christ that listened. And he says, greater things shall ye do than ye have seen me do. And I happen to believe him. I am consciously aware of other people's points of view, and I honor the right to have a different point of view. I am open that you are different than me. I am grateful that you see it a different way than I see it. I'm grateful that I can learn from everyone. I love it. I am loving kindness. I practice that every day. Everything's practice. Michael Jordan said, you miss every shot you don't take. I practice. Sometimes I fail miserably. I'm trying to love someone and they judge me like being arrogant or narcissistic or needing attention, and I'm just loving them. I am that no one is worthy of my judgment. Now, that doesn't mean I don't judge. They're just not worthy of my judgment. I just do a full-headed thing by judging them. What a waste of time. And everyone is worthy of my love. I'm graciously authentic. Whatever you see me being, that's me. There isn't, this is one dude. There's not 16 of these guys. This is me anywhere. This is me with the King of England, the Queen of England, the Pope, a pauper, a poor person. This is me. I am graciously authentic. I'm strong, healthy, and attractive. I'll be 90 years old or something, walking around with a little pushchair thing, pooping my pants, and guess who I'm going to be being? Strong, healthy, and attractive. And I know the chicks in the rest home are checking me out. That's definite. So these are states of being. I am divine intuition. And I hope someday, and so are you. I'm connected to infinite intelligence. Literally, I have so many things that come to me because I plant that seed. I experience extraordinary discernment, decision-making powers every day. They're just miracles every day. I believe in miracles. I expect them. I experience them. I create them. I live them. I am madly in love with my gorgeous, sexy, vivacious, brilliant wife. I'm the luckiest man on the planet to have been gifted to live life with this woman. I love her. I'm extraordinarily patient, loving, and kind to all living things, to my turtles, to little things. I love it all. And I make a huge amount of mistakes. It doesn't change me from coming from there. I live, I love, I learn, I serve, and I bless all of humanity every day of my life. I don't sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff, everything, including my death, dying, and other things. It's all small stuff. It isn't about what we own. It isn't about what somebody thinks of us. It's who we're becoming. This experience today that Rephoel has put together is about who are we becoming? What is our declaration of who we're going to be? That is everything. I am that. I have no complaints. I could complain about something, but you're never going to hear me do that because I don't want to put a complaint seed in, and guess what I'm going to get out? Some complaint fruit. I don't want it. I'm looking at you. It may not look like it, but I'm seeing everyone on the screen as much as I can. Will you slide that over, Mom? I appreciate all of you. You can slide it again for who you are and what you've done to be here. I'm grateful for you. I'm thankful for you. And I love you. Thank you for allowing me to be here. My commitment is to listen and participate in a way that I learn more in this 4 hours than I've learned in any of the 4 hours of my life. Rephoel, thank you for allowing me to speak. Townsend and the rest of the speakers, thank you for what you've done, who you are, and what you've prepared to do. And especially the greatest acknowledgement goes out to each of you. Kind of wiggle your butt, sitting in whatever chair you're in, feel it, move your butt. I'm talking about you, the one in the chair. This isn't to somebody else, it's to you. I'm talking to you. Liz, I'm talking to you. Carol, I'm talking to you. Martha, I'm talking to you. Andres, it's you I'm talking to. You get to choose who you're being. We are in a magnificent place to be here with Rephoel in the being experience. I love you. Be blessed. Be you.
Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you so much for that. I want to reflect to anybody who is listening, which is everyone, hopefully. Every time I hear someone powerful, in this case, it's going to be Steve, you just need to listen. Like Steve said, if you don't get something, just go on to the next thing. If not, wait, let me sit and verify if that resonates with me, if that's true. When I hear someone and you just let it sit and let it be, let it wash over you, and that's where the shift comes from. Not when you try overthinking and say, well, does it really work? Like, how does he do that I am God thing and not be God? So forget that part. Don't get stuck on any part that you don't like. When you listen to someone, Steve, there's so many people here that when they speak, it affects you. Let it in. Don't get all like, why am I losing? I feel like I'm losing my will of choice by these words that are just transforming me. That's okay. That's okay. And every time I hear Steve speak, that's what it does. I don't need to start double checking if this makes sense or not. I know I feel it. When you feel it, be comfortable with that. We have a lot of people. Each one of you, I believe, is capable of that if you believe that of yourself. And I have nothing to add. It's just I want that really sticks out to me. That listening, the power listener, when you feel that it resonates and you get it, it's like, I got it. Not, hold on. Based on everything I've known until now, this is not adding up. Just let go of everything you've known. And with that, we're gonna pass it over to Townsend. I know Townsend, a very from the group. I've had conversations with Townsend. I've learned from Townsend. I've grown through Townsend from our conversations that didn't go so smooth, and then our conversations that we kept trying, because I said, I know Townsend has a lot to offer. I may have not understood the language last time, but I'll give it a go again. And from what I've heard from so many people, that Townsend has so much to offer. I'm not one of those people who, like, if somebody says, you know, you need to get Townsend, if I don't get it, I wouldn't get Townsend, but I got it. And I agree. And I reached out, I said, Townsend, if you know, we're having a being experience and you're just a great voice for that. And there's people that speak to everyone, that everyone has a different voice, and you've got such a powerful presence and a voice, and I want people to receive that gift as well. So thank you for accepting, and thank you for being here.
Wow. Is anybody else buzzing on a Sunday morning? Yeah, not just the coffee either. Wow. Rephoel, I really want to acknowledge you for creating this experience and for creating it multiple times and navigating through all that creation. And ultimately, I mean, I'm looking at the number keep going up. I think we're at 175. This is amazing that this is available to so many people. So thank you. Thank you, brother. Thank you, Lindsay, for running all this complexity. And thank you, Steve, without which anything that's coming out of my mouth in the next couple minutes probably wouldn't be sounding the way it sounds. With respect to being, I think it's useful to think of the analogy of a magic eye drawing, and maybe you know what these are, maybe you don't, or you know by another name. At least when I was a kid, not a kid, but younger, you'd go to the newspaper and there'd be this thing in there that was some sort of a picture, but it was like just patterns and there was nothing there. It was just squiggles and lines. But if you looked at it and kind of just softened your eyes and stuck with it, eventually, hey, look, there's a cat or a rabbit or whatever it is. Hopefully you guys have some reference to this. And then just as soon as you got it, it was like, wait, where'd the cat go? And then you really wanted to see the cat. And it was hard to see the cat or the rabbit or whatever. And when somebody else could see it and you couldn't, that was really frustrating. At least for me, when my kids could see it, it was like, why? How come they can see? I can't see it. Being is like that. At least for me. As soon as we begin to speak about being, we're not talking about being anymore. So that's what creates some challenge here. The Tao that is written is not the Tao, is what is said about the Tao Te Ching. As soon as I start speaking into writing about it, it's not it, but it's the best we got. Thoughts are things. Our thoughts create. You heard Steve say that. I might have heard him say that about 857 times, but I'm not counting. Our thoughts create, truly. Whatever we're thinking, there it is. It shows up. It's real. For me, being creates our thoughts. Plain and simple. Being is what creates our thoughts. And ultimately, some more thoughts about those thoughts. And then eventually some sort of actions from those thoughts. And ultimately the results or non-action. And then the results we produce. So for most people out in the world, we're playing for results. We're like, I want this, or I don't want that. I want more of this, less of that. What do I need to do to get this or that? So we spend a lot of time in the world of doing, buy books on doing, the 7 habits of this and the 5 ways to do that. And we struggle. We have stacks of books about what to do in the world. And it's like, why aren't these working? Well, what we don't realize is all the doing that I'm trying to get done requires thinking about it. And when those aren't aligned, when I'm reading a book, I should be doing these things or not doing these things, and my thinking is something else. That makes change really difficult. right? Which is why this idea of working at the level of being is so powerful. It occurs to me that it would be useful, since some of you have probably seen some of my lives that I put out there. Some of you have not and know who I am, but I thought I would also share my declaration so that I can create who I am being for you. And then anything else I say, you could see it through the lens of who's the one sharing this with you. A word on declarations. A declaration is simply a way to speak to being. Right? Steve said something really beautiful. Being creates our thoughts. Our thoughts can also create our being. Being creates everything downstream. What we don't realize is it works upstream as well. We came into this world kind of a blank canvas, right? A perfect beingless being, and had things layered onto us. And then that started creating our life. But we can speak to that being via this thing called a declaration, asserting this is who I'm being. Declaring who I'm being would be more specific. And over time, what's fun to watch is that declared being starting to create not just stuff in the world, but even thoughts consistent with that being. So my declaration is called the PFC Manifesto. It stands for Peace, Freedom, and Connection. And it goes a little something like this. No one is worthy of my judgment, and everyone is deserving of my love. Every human is beautiful, all 174 of you, probably more, because some of you are 2 4s in here, so it's probably more. Life is effortless and fun. I create miracles with my word and teach others to do the same. I acknowledge and accept everyone experiences life as it occurs for them. I allow others to care for and serve me as much as I care for and serve them. I do the best I can to do the best I can, and my best is pretty good. I have infinite patience, kindness, and compassion. No one is more deserving than I am. No one is more committed than I am. Each moment teaches me to joyfully transform judgment into love so I can experience life fully. I'm grateful for God's love, that I may share it with all. I'm loved exactly as I am. I teach, I guide, and I inspire with the gift of divine insight, and I serve with access to the creative potential of the entire universe. God shows me what I'm supposed to see, when I'm supposed to see it. I'm committed to noticing, paying attention, and taking action. Those that seek me out are ready for transformation. They're ready to do the work. They're ready to get committed. I create as much money as I want whenever I want. I am madly in love with my beautiful, powerful, committed, caring, magical, sexy wife, Luisa Milano, the goddess of being. My amazing sons are resourceful and resilient. Most of all, they're happy and know they are loved as they share their gifts with the world. My body is strong, healthy, sexy, powerful. I'm in the best shape of my life and pain-free. I do not fear death. I will be here as long as God wants me to serve, and my mother named me Townsend Wardlaw. Thank you for hearing that. Being creates life. Being produces life. Literally, everything. And I say that as a truth. For me, truth is not something that I use to bludgeon other people and try to convince them. Truth is something that I use as a tool to learn. I know I am the creator of all. I know my being is producing everything. My perception of life, how the world occurs for me, the words I hear, what I see, what I perceive as even what's going on, and everything downstream from that. I know that to be true. I don't always believe it in the moment. So for me, that's the game. being creates all. That's the truth. I create all from who I'm being. Anything I think that's happening out there, well, it's not, it's being created in here. Oh, look, there's something I'm convinced is out there. Could be I'm convinced this person is out to get me, or this person is speaking ill of me, or even could be that's in my way, I can't get around it. So I stop, do my best to let go of the vice grip of doing over here, and what am I going to fix, and how am I going to power through, and who can I talk to, and what can I say, and go back to who am I being that is literally producing this reality. And at least up to this point, when I ask that question, who must I be being? How must I be being? I ask it lots of different ways, such that this is even what I see. Well, look at that. I can see it. All right, and I say see in quotes. I don't see being like you see a box of chicken nuggets or something, but I can see it. And then if I can choose in that moment to be different, well, then all of a sudden reality starts to change. We are always being. We're never not being. Being is like a new thing. I didn't discover it. Steve didn't discover it. It's been there all along. We're always being. Being is always creating. We are always creating from who we're being. Like, I could say that probably 10 more times and take 20 minutes doing that, and it would still be interesting to explore that. I am always creating from who I'm being. Creating everything. Creating my perception of the world, my experience of it, and my actions that I take. And that's an incredibly powerful way to look out into the world, if you ask me. If I am creating that from who I'm being, well, I could be something different. I could shift my being. I'd create it differently. I'd see it differently, experience it differently, ultimately do different things with it. If I'm not creating that from who I'm being, if it's being thrust upon me, well, I just got to sit here and kind of deal with it. That's no fun. No fun at all. It was about a little over a year ago. Luis and I were in Austin, and we were about to make the trek to Salt Lake, where we were going to spend the summer last year. I was visiting with Steve on a Thursday, and I hadn't seen him for about a month. Oh, by the way, I'm telling a little story that I think if you listen and look at the story will give you a sense of being. I'm not trying to get to a punchline or a lesson here. I'm just telling a fun story that I think if you let the story just kind of, if you marinate in the story, you'll see something pretty cool, see something pretty powerful about being. So this isn't like a prescription or advice or I'm going to go do that. I'm just sharing a story of, for me, how a state of being can produce an incredibly powerful insight, incredibly powerful transformation just from who we're being. And this is possible for anybody, anywhere. So about 3 or 4 days before I was supposed to go visit Steve, I hadn't seen him in a month. I sent him a text saying, can't wait to see you, coach. This is going to be our best session ever. And we've been working together for like 7 or 8 months. This is going to be our best session ever. And throughout my trip there on the plane and planes, trains, and automobiles, I sat with the intention and spoke to my being. This is the best session we ever had. I'm going to be best session ever. Got to Steve's office, did my little routine and my warm up, stretching or whatever you do, and we had our 2 hours together, and they were a wonderful 2 hours. You're not going to hang out with Steve Hardison for 2 hours and not have a good time, not get some cool insights. But I got to be honest, if I was filling out the little comment card, he's got a little comment card outside of his box, I would have said, not the best session ever. it wasn't, except I was committed to being it was, right? So here's something interesting. That was the best session ever. I'm committed to, and I'm being that. Townsend, the cartoon character, isn't so sure. He wants to get the comment card. Maybe that was a 4 out of 5. That was a 3 out of 5. No, I'm being that was the best ever. I might not see how it was. I might not know it. I might not have gotten all the information yet, but I'm going to stay in this being of that was the best ever, most powerful. So I flew back to Austin, and Louisa was going to visit her family, I think in California. So I was going to make the drive solo with, well, not quite solo. I had Jax the Wonder Dog, from Austin up to Salt Lake City. So I'm like, great, I got all day in the car to sit with this commitment to, that was the best session ever. I was in the car 10, 12 hours, pulled into Albuquerque, New Mexico. Got to be honest, nothing was there. I was still committed to being, that was my best session yesterday, right? We're more than 24 hours since. I'm just sitting with being, committed to being. No, that was the best. I don't know how it was. I can't prove it was. I can't tell you the insights I got. It hasn't happened yet, I guess, but I'm being that is, that was. Went to bed that night. And about 3:30 in the morning, I was jolted awake. It was like a bolt of lightning hit me. And I grabbed my pad of paper and started writing, because all of this information was coming, all of these insights from our time together a day ago started just showing up like mind-blowing insights. Oh my, that was the best session ever. Holy, insert expletive here. Right? So what I find fascinating is when we create the level of our being, well, sometimes it takes a little bit of time for reality to catch up. And this is a positive story, a positive, wonderful story of transformation and insights produced. But this applies to everything. If you are being, well, they're no good, they're out to get me, that guy's got an ad. Guess what you're going to see? You're going to create it just as powerfully as I could create an insight or transformation. However you are being, it produces, it creates powerfully, magically, miraculously. So it behooves us to consider this question, who am I being? And not, I use this word carefully, not be distracted by reality. I'll say that again. Watch when we are distracted by reality. It's very convincing. I get fooled all the time. I'm not somebody who has it all figured out. But the little voice in my head clicks in when I'm sitting there convinced that my wife isn't being nice to me or respecting me, or this person doesn't like me. Oh, I'm creating it. Let me go look. Let me go test. Let me check in with that. And it's a game. For me, it's a game. It's a lifelong game. I play. Steve likes to say it's all for practice. I say it's all for fun. Who am I being is fun, including when I'm being somebody that's producing thoughts and actions that I'm not particularly proud of. But here's the thing, if who I'm being simply becomes another way to blame or shame ourselves, oh, I don't like being that, right? Well, that causes problems, because then we stop looking. For me, you guys got to hear my beautiful, powerful, inspiring declaration, right? Well, that's what I speak many times a day in my head out loud, sometimes in the back of my brain. That's my conscious created declaration to let my being know what we're going to be. But there's lots of other ways of being that came with me from the past that I got to be looking for and noticing for. There's a lot of my being, I call it my legacy being, my default way of being that was kind of installed and programmed into me growing up. Well, there's superiority in there. There's righteousness in there. There's look good in there. There's get it right. There's be responsible. So my game is wandering through life and noticing when life appears to be a projection of my default way of being that I'm not so interested in creating life with anymore, and kindly and lovingly inviting that kind of being to go on its way and creating with my intentional, conscious, created being. And I'll never stop finding little bits and pieces of my default being. Maybe I will someday. Maybe the room will be sparkly clean without a speck of dust at some point. I'm not counting on it. I'm not trying to get there. I just look. Where am I being through my thinking and my actions something I don't need to be? And let's do something else. Let me choose a new way of being. Incredibly simple and never done. Thank you, Rephoel, for allowing me to speak a little bit this morning.
Thank you so much, Townsend. I feel like every time someone speaks, we should just sit with that, like you said, just marinating in it. It's so true. I realized I didn't say this in the beginning, but for anyone who's still in the intro, the event is 4 1-hour sessions with breaks in between for you to break out. So there's a 15-minute break in between each one. So we have another 10 minutes here. I wanted to just share the thoughts of being that came up while Townsend was speaking. And Lindsay is in charge, and therefore she's going to cut it at exactly the clock. So we're at her mercy. So it's good. It's good to have someone, on top of things like that. But I love a lot of what Townsend just said. So if you want to just be left with sitting with what Townsend said, please don't let me confuse you. But I love, what Townsend said about, the conscious creating versus the default. Who are you being? I had a keychain made for myself. I sent some people this keychain. It's a great keychain. Just a reminder of who are you being. You get to ask yourself that question. It's not about making yourself wrong. It's not about getting yourself down on that. Steve mentioned, I don't complain because I don't want to plant those complaint seeds. There's always stuff that you can rightfully complain about, or, oh, life is not fair. Like, stuff happens, right? Things happen in life. And if you are sulking in that or just being affected by that, you're not wrong. And then I get to ask myself, who am I being? Is another way of asking, what do I want to create here? How do I want to create in this situation? If I just want to be pissed off and upset, like, that's fine. You're not wrong. If you go out now and greet the next person with that, it won't be as amazing as you would hope, possibly. It might not have, you might regret that afterwards, but it's an opportunity. That's what working on being is all about. I get to keep on creating an amazing life. I can embrace my bad moods. I could just be like annoyed. Like, that's an option. It's one of the emotions. And then when you're all through with feasting on that, it's like, and who do I want to be now? I just want to go dance and have fun, like Townsend said, like, have fun with it. You only can stay in a bad mood or in a place that you don't want to be for as long as you keep on focusing on that. You got to hold on real tight to those thoughts, right? Thoughts come in, and you get to decide if those are real or not. And what really when Townsend was saying that story about committing to being this best session ever, and there's a story Steve shared in the book, and I saw the gentleman at the Phoenix event. There was a client of Steve's that he took to a movie, That was their session. They took a movie. It was a $3,000 movie or something like that, right? When you come to something, to this event, or any speaker, to anything, and saying, this is the one that's going to change your life, or I just paid $3,000 for this movie, I would be surprised if he doesn't know that movie by heart yet, because you be with it, right? Townsend said, I'm going to make this session the most powerful session. It doesn't matter if you're making things up at that point, right? If I'm going to visit someone, I'm going to visit Lindsay, I say, this is going to be a powerful visit. And I go there, we say hi. I give her a plate of cookies, and then I leave. And I know that that had to have changed my life. I make that have had changed my life. And then I realize how nice that transaction was, and how I'm showing up, and I could have this could all be in my head, but it doesn't matter, because it's actually changing who I'm being, because I'm committed to having that change. And I look at every little detail and I make up stories around it that are pushing me forward. That's the created reality. That's what I heard and what Townsend said. And that's what came up for me. And I've, I'll try to get this story in real quick, Lindsay. And then Steve is raising his hand. So I want to let Steve in there for a second. And I'll just do this story really, really fast. So there's this amazing type of experience called horse coaching. And there's people trained, they have horses. And I did it once, and they walk you through, and you really connect with this animal, and you learn about yourself from how you're approaching it, how you're pushing it away. So I did that twice. The second time I went, I wanted to have a mind-blowing experience like the first time. And nothing happened. But it was just as powerful, because I said, this is what I see as a reflection of myself. I am so much more empowered. I feel like nothing needs to happen. And by the way, the horses don't know what's going on. The whole thing could be made up, but it shifted me because I was committed to getting shift from that. So that's what your power of commitment and creation can do. This event, any 1 10-minute, 5 minutes can change your life if you wanted to, by you choosing to. To you, Steve.
Thank you. Thanks for the comments, Rephoel. I wanted to just acknowledge Townsend. It's amazing to see someone with as much power and humility as has. He can create something out of nothing with so many things that he does in his world. It's beautiful. And then to see that he's always learning, like whatever you just said, Rephoel, he got something out of it. That's what makes him who he is. I just had a quick comment. It's, some people have questions about words, like, does the chicken come before the egg? Does the thought cause the bean, or does the bean cause the thinking? And it's like, it doesn't matter. I'm going to eat them both. Who cares? Lighten up. Another thing I'd like to say is that everyone here, this is the only place on the planet this is going on. This kind of conversation, this is the only place this is happening. So I want to share with all of you just briefly, this isn't about coaching, it's about being. Anyone in a skin bag that's this could be part of what we're doing, the book or the movement. Anyone in a skin bag that has a state of being. Thank you, Townsend. Thank you, Rephoel.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Steve, for that.
Yeah.
Lindsay, I think we can wrap up this. Everyone, please join us again in 15 minutes for part 2. We're going to be hearing about acknowledgement. And to me, when Steve first talked about acknowledgement in Phoenix, that changed my life again. You know, how many times can your life change? Endlessly. But that one was such a big deal. We're going to have some great thoughts on acknowledgement. So I encourage you, if you can be there, to be there. And I'll see you all soon. Go stretch your legs and get a drink and have a little snack. We'll see you all soon.